Hey, this is Fish, and this is another episode of In the Tank with the Fish. And I say this every time. It's always fun for me, even though I might know people, to find out a little bit more about them, what they're doing, and why. And so I, in particular, asked these two to come on the air. Both of them, Ray Benish and Tonya Flores, have written children's books, very different books. And I just thought this would be great. We'll talk to them about what really inspired them to do it. Why would they keep doing it? They've written more than one, right? At one, I would have stopped already. Or maybe the officials would have stopped me. I'm not sure which, but so we're going to talk to them a little bit about who they are and how this happened. And I just hope you enjoyed as much as me as we unfold the lives of Ray Benish and Tonya Flores right here on In the Tank. I'm sorry, I had to do that.
That's okay.
So how are you guys today?
We're great.
Yeah.
Ready to go.
Yeah, ready to go. I'm fired up, you know. So actually, I think, Tonya, I knew you wrote children's book before I knew Ray did. And I've known you for a long time, but we just never really talked about that. Right, that was a part. Correct. It's like you kept it hidden.
Yes.
It was like, it was
a secret.
It was.
I don't want anybody to know. What?
I only share my secrets
That's
after
counterproductive.
20 years of friendship. Oh, by the way, I write children's books, right? You know, it didn't matter. I owned the preschool, right? I could share that information.
It's all timing. When he's ready.
How did it happen for you? What inspired you initially to say, I think I could write a child's book?
Well, I never pursued creative writing. My background is accounting and finance and compliance, all the fun stuff that everyone loves.
I'm calling you.
Yeah.
On another matter.
Right. But I always wanted to do something to inspire children, especially children maybe who didn't have mentors or guidance of how to become successful in life and to set up their life so that they could achieve their dreams. And we were at Thanksgiving. We go to Thanksgiving in Monterey every year, Pacific Grove. And my daughter had this little puppy named Zuko. And he was on the beach with us, and he was, running so fast, and he would jump. He looked like he could just fly and take off. And then he'd protect us, and his little ears was going, dogs have all those different directions for their ears, protecting us and making sure we were safe. And I said, Jess, he would make a great super puppy for kids. He'd be a perfect role model. Because children of all ages, all ethnicities can relate to a little doggy, right? Socioeconomic backgrounds, everyone can attach to little doggies.
Yeah.
She was in law school and didn't have time to write the books, so I started writing them. And then
I got this great idea. You do it. I can't. All right, I'll do it.
I'll do it. So she moved back home after law school, and I had Zuko with me all the time. And then my two little chihuahuas, Tay and Spike. And so I had characters all the time around me, inspiring stories and character traits and all of that. And then Dan, my husband, who you know, said, well, if you want to get messaging across to the children, you should look at Aristotle's virtues because, social emotional learning is the new theme in schools and all of this. And he said, but Aristotle started over 2,000 years ago.
Yeah, yeah.
And so I started then looking into Aristotle and his virtues, and I thought, these are perfect. Because when you look at them, you say, oh, yes, this is what a successful person, they've achieved all of these. And success is determined by what your hopes and dreams are, not only monetary. I want to come out and say that right away. And if you're going to write children's books, don't expect to make a fortune overnight. It has to be
yet,
passionate.
but after this interview, the cards and letters will be coming.
So you have to have a passion for something. So I combined my love of Zuko with Aristotle's virtues and these messages that I wanted to get across to children and show them that anyone can achieve their dreams. So the basic virtues that I chose, there were 8. It's ambition, bravery, truthfulness. And Aristotle's truthfulness is being true about yourself, what you can and can't do, not what other people are projecting on you. Oh, don't be an artist because you need to have a business background, this kind of thing. So you're not keeping up in class, let your teacher know, hey, I'm struggling with this. Don't be embarrassed to be true about yourself. I said ambition, confidence, generosity. What Aristotle said is once you achieve success, if you achieve financial success, it's important to give back to others. So I changed generosity for children. I mean, you can be generous with your time and your talents to help other people.
Yeah.
And then there's being a true friend, patience, which we all know patience is a virtue.
None of us want to read that book, adults, children.
And then some other ones. And so, I had to be ambitious and have a plan. And so I wrote 12 books within a year because I was working with a school counselor and a psychotherapist, Tom Galvin, who wrote my song. He's a local therapist. And then counselors to get feedback on the books, if I was in the right direction, if children would like them or not.
Yeah.
And then I have an activity book too, so I can share my books with you to see what I did. And I had to hire an illustrator because I'm not creative at all as far as illustrating goes.
That's important, though, is you do the part you can do.
Yes.
And then other people that are really much more qualified, you have to trust them, right?
Yes,
and
totally.
I remember I learned that I was playing in a rock band in Sacramento, and the guys would always be complaining about the dude that was mixing us. And I finally told him, shut up. You can't hear what he can hear.
No, absolutely.
You hear the monitors, right? So as long as you can hear, let's do what we do and let that guy do what he does. And I think it's that kind of collaboration that really makes a difference in putting something forward.
Right. And those things in life, you need collaboration.
Yes.
You cannot isolate yourself and expect to move forward and be successful. I think we have to keep collaborating in life, being open to new ideas, not being closed-minded, and taking advice from professionals.
I'm not listening to people. I've actually had to listen to this guy. I went to Ray.
That was a mistake.
I went to Ray, and I said I was in a rough spot, and I said, hey Ray, I need to talk to you about this. And he said, well, just do this and this. I mean, he didn't even, no emotions, just do this and this. I was like, that's it?
He made it sound easy.
Yeah. He said, yeah. I'm like, what? I went and did it. Everything's squared away.
Yeah, but you had guidance. You collaborated.
It took a certain amount of trust. I had met Ray, and we became friends. And so I just knew he was the right guy to go to, And then, but even though we were very close friends, he never mentioned he wrote children's books. Of all his friends, at the most childlike. And no, does he share them? So Ray, how did it happen for you?
I don't know. We were living in Nashville at the time because we lived there for like 12 years. And I really don't have any idea. I don't remember. I just remember sitting there one day and an idea came to me and I was like, I don't know. And I just started writing it down and it was done. And I was like, that kind of works. And then, and then I wrote a few of them. And because again, collaboration, I'm terrible at all the other stuff. Like I'm a creative person. I'm not a math person. I'm not hey, I need to go out there and hustle. I'm not that person. I am the person that you tell me I need to show up at a certain time, or hey, I need a book written by this time. I can get that done, but any other stuff.
Wait. You are you serious? I asked this guy. He really has a great love for music, besides being a musician, and he says, "Oh, I got this great idea for this show." And how many years ago? I gave him a key to get in here, fixed him up. How many shows do you think we've heard? I'm outing you right here in the middle of this. But you are right though. And so it's like, where did the point of passion come? The point that said, not just I can create this, but I absolutely recognize the value in doing it.
I think a big part of it for me is my daddy used to read me books at night all the time. Like he would sit on the floor, and we lived in like this little like single wide trailer growing up. And so we would sit in the hall and he would just read to me. And so even because I have a YouTube channel called Hey Daddy Ray, where I just do read alouds for kids, and it's not my books yet, but it's just other people's books. But it's, but I can hear him in me when I read a lot. Cool. I'm like, that sounds just like my daddy. Yeah. And so, but again, it's called Hey Daddy Ray. And then we've had, you know this, Fish, but we've had 57 foster kids And at the time,
Not at one time. I just,
all at once.
he still has his sanity, even though it,
And then we have 6 of our own. We adopted a couple of those, trying to get another one, and 3 biologicals. And so
I keep trying to get you to adopt me.
I will not do it. I won't.
You and your wife would be perfect parents for me. I could grow up. My wife would be thrilled.
Yeah, Patty would be excited if we took you, I'm sure.
Oh, you mean because I wouldn't be there?
That is correct.
I don't know. I'm not buying that.
She'd get a break.
Yeah. So at one point, I think you told me you actually were a preschool teacher.
Yeah, I worked at a daycare for 2 years.
Yeah, and it's like being around kids. I know for me, having the preschool, being around kids. Not that I've ever thought about writing children's books, but what you said, Tonya, they need it. They need things at their level.
Yes.
That, and when you talked about success with children, it's success to get them to sit in a chair for longer than 10 seconds. It's
Yes.
success to get them to interact and share, be generous. It's success. And so those things, when I think of children's books, that's the kinds of things I think of. What will help this child grow up? I don't know another term, right?
Yes,
But
right.
what would help them enter into young adulthood, right? And remember stories they read as a kid.
And then share that with their children
Yeah.
and their grandchildren. So it's generational. Once you plant these seeds, then like your father read to you, right? And so you have a love of reading and you want to share that with children. That's how it's born.
Have you seen any of his?
No, but I'm checking out his
Do
podcast
yourself a
episodes.
favor.
Yes.
They're pretty cool.
Yes.
You wouldn't expect it from him. He seems so demure. But he is a wild man on there. It's like,
Yes.
with children,
You have to be.
you have to be animated. They won't accept hi or good morning. It's like, hey, good morning, right? They're like,
Yeah.
Which is the funny thing, because if you look at me, I look like a murderer.
yeah, get that.
But then little kids, I remember when I first worked at the daycare, because they were just little bitty kids, and I had 20 of them just on my own. I was back in Indiana. It was the Wild West. You could do whatever you want. So I had 20 little kids, and they were terrified of me at first. And then I remember the last day I worked there, we all sat on the floor and just cried and cried. And I was like,
They loved you.
yeah.
You'd be like, what was that movie that Arnold Schwarzenegger was the
Kindergarten Cop.
yeah.
It's pretty much that.
That was you, wasn't it?
I am a cartoon. So kids like it.
Tonya, what was the process once you knew I'm going to write these? There had to be a process to say, well, how do I get them in the hands of other kids?
Right.
Right, of kids. So how did you think through that?
So I did research, obviously, and you have to come up with a plan, just like when you have an ambition, just like Aristotle taught, you have to come up with a plan. How are you going to tackle this? So I researched.
Wait, I have to have a plan.
Yeah, you have to have a plan.
I've botched a lot of stuff.
Right. So I reached out to editors. So I had a copy editor and another editor who I thought she was a copy editor, but found out she wasn't when I found syntax errors.
Oh,
It's like, well, I'm not a copy editor. And then I had to find an illustrator, of course, because I'm not an illustrator. And then I did a lot of research of authors who self-published versus going through a publisher. And after reading that, I decided to go ahead and self-publish. When you go through a publisher, you give up all your creative rights pretty much. You get a small advance, but it's usually not very large with children's books. And then you don't make much more per book than you do if you self-publish. And they usually do a marketing launch for you, but that's it. And then you have to come with a following and, everything else. But I didn't want to lose my creative license on these books because the messages were so important to me to get across to the children. So I decided just to self-publish on Amazon. And it's a very easy process. Amazon takes the lion's share of whatever you sell
Of
your book
course.
for. You get like $1 or $2 per book. Ebooks, it's cents that you get. But I just wanted to get the books out there. And I had met with counselors, local counselors in schools. And one of them I met with when I was sharing her books, because the terrifying thing is are these going to reach children? You know, your friends will tell you, oh, these are great. They're wonderful. They're going to, you know, the kids are going to love it. So I shared them with her, a few of them. She's like, I need this for my second graders. They're really bored with our social emotional curriculum. And I need something that's exciting and that will grab their attention and keep them interested. So then I had to get 12 done very quickly for her.
Oh, this is before you had them done?
I was doing like 16-hour days, 7 days a week. I had to get
ahead of the game.
Yeah, like my illustrator and my editor, I was like, either you're on board. They're like, you're being over ambitious. I said, either you're on board with me or not, because I made a promise. Now I have to deliver this to the counselor, and the children need it, you know. And so that was very successful. The children loved it. The most terrifying thing is when you go to read to children for the first time, because children are honest. They don't hold any emotions back. I mean,
they will tell on their parents.
Yes,
their parents walk in, and I used to go, yeah, I know. Yeah, I know. I don't want to hear it. Right? I used to tell them, here, I'll work a deal with your parents. If you won't believe everything your kid says about me, I won't believe everything they say about you, right? Because they're brutal. They're brutal with one another.
Yeah.
Right? You know?
So I just went out there and I read the book. I project my books on a screen, so it's kind of more cartoonish as I go through a PowerPoint. And then I show pictures of the real pooches at the end. They love that. They love the fact that these are based on real doggies. And then I do a Q&A period, and they tell me about their doggies. And I interact with them while I'm reading the books. I ask them about, have you ever experienced this in your life? So I pause and connect with them so that they're sharing stories. Because the goal too is for that to, hopefully they will learn to write creatively. This will inspire them while they're going through school to write creatively about their pets or their friends or whatever. So you want to spark little things. And if you engage with the kids, you start getting those sparks. Their creativity starts coming out right on the spot. And
so
that's important
you chose to do live reading.
Yes.
You chose that.
Yes.
You wanted to get in front of the audience, as you will, the child audience, to get, although it might have been frightening, to really find out if what you had done was successful.
So at the end, they gave me 5 out of 5 stars and, you know, all of this stuff. And that was even fourth graders who really related to the books. And I did an AVID presentation to 6th, 7th, and 8th graders here locally last year. And I was shocked at how much they responded to the books. Like they carried them off and they were reading through them and sharing them. And so it's a good set of books for a buddy reading system when they're mentoring the younger kids and all of that. But something about those super puppies and the storyline and the virtues maybe just connected with them even at that age. Well,
Ray had I've already heard the story, but he had a similar experience of going and with older kids. So relate that and how they responded with you.
My wife now, because she was a first grade teacher, that's how the whole read aloud thing started, the YouTube channel. She was like, we do read alouds, the videos, and I don't like any of them. Can you do them? And I was like, why, sure. And so we ended up doing them. And then, and now she teaches middle school, high school. And so they all want, hey, Daddy Ray merch. They're like, can we get hats and shirts? And we just, every time I walk into school, they're like, hey, Daddy Ray. All right. Hello, children.
It's like I really didn't intend for this crowd. When I wrote them, I wasn't thinking of you guys. But, hey, Daddy Ray.
That's right. That's right.
But you did tell me you also had an experience with a little girl that came up that, you know, which is really... That's part of what Tonya's talking about, wanting to know you connected. So tell us that story.
Yeah, a little girl came up to me. Her mom came up and she said, do you know who that is? And she looked at me and I intro all my videos. I say, you know, this is Hey Daddy Ray, and this is the book we're reading today. And so I said that and she went, and just like ran at me and like jumped on me. And I was like, oh. I said that. I said, oh,
wonderful.
Must be just like how Taylor Swift feels.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Probably not.
Yeah, so you really connected with the audience, though.
Yeah.
You know that.
Well, we live in a different time, and And I say that because there's so many options. I just recently had somebody ask me, I'm going to start doing local TV. And they said, do you think a younger crowd will shoot for that? And my answer is absolutely. It's the content that you put on and why you put it on. And so when you wrote about the virtues of Aristotle, you were thinking the virtues and how to put those in a child's vernacular, if you will,
Yes.
a way they could do it. And I remember this old bishop used to tell me, when you're preaching, when you're talking, you talk like you're talking to a 10-year-old and everybody will get it. Oh. But if you make it too much, they'll check out. Right? And so, yeah, exactly. Is it lunch yet? And so it really is. I think things that are written for children that have value in life are right now very important, because if a 4-year-old can get it, a 24-year-old can get it.
Right.
And so I think it's a season when it's like, what's the best way to present them? So both of you have put your material in print media, and you are going to do yours in the videos, the same as you've done. You've already developed Hey, Hey, Daddy Ray. You can't change it to Hey, Hey, Bobby.
It's done.
Hey, Hey, Fish is not going to fly.
No.
I'm just telling you, right? And then you've actually like gone into classrooms, right? And so I was kind of hoping with bringing you both on. And actually I had a third gal that wrote a book, was going to bring her on. I have to bring her on later because of her work. But I was kind of hoping that you would hear each other and think, maybe we have other avenues.
Yes.
Maybe there are other avenues.
Yeah.
Because what's valuable now, I'm a local guy. I tell people I can't change Washington, D.C. God knows I'd like to. Or Sacramento. I live here. My feet are here. So I want to see things that are developed here go out from here. I'm not interested in bringing what's out there here. So that was part of my thinking in bringing you guys on. Hey, guys, there are people right here locally that write children's books that both of you alluded to. You talked to teachers who said what we have currently is not working. I think it's because it came from somewhere else. I think they need local stuff. I think kids need to stop saying think globally, right? Because what does global have to do with being generous? What does global have to do with don't be mean, right? And so I think we're in a time period when reaching the local community becomes valuable, and then you move on. I did a radio thing with guys that were on the air, and I brought a guy in who had been with Clear Channel, which they had to change their name. They're now iHeart. But he was telling the story about when they look for talent, they want to know what you've done locally first. Why would I make you national?
Oh, that's very interesting.
And so that's why my thought is not that I'm interested in going national as much as I know how much it's needed here. And in my conversations with you and Ray, I've had multiple conversations with you about how much is needed right here where we live. So get off your backside and get in here and do radio. Oh, I'm sorry, that's for another interview. Sorry, didn't mean to out him. Get your books done, Daddy Ray. Right? So anyway, that was kind of my thinking.
Yes.
If you had to say, what do I believe my next step is, the plan, right? What would be your next step, Ray? I'm going to go on the radio and do it from
I actually spoke with Tonya at length not too long ago, and we were talking about self-publishing versus publishing, and she sort of pointed me into the direction of a publisher because I've had a publisher interested before. And so that's kind of what we're doing. We're looking for an agent and just kind of going to go that way, just because I don't have that hustle. I don't have that, like she's got that hustle. Do you know what I mean?
She's high speed, low drag.
Yeah.
This whole interview, she's like, and you're like,
yeah, she got.
I
She's like, I have all the math things. I'm like, I don't know no math, and I don't know what you're talking about.
Tanya's going to send you a checklist.
Yeah, I'll write your plan.
And then she's going to call you every day.
We'll collaborate.
That's what my son-in-law has. He made a Google Doc for
Did
me.
he really?
And it has a checklist. And he's
it.
like, I need you to do these things. And I'm like, oh, okay. And so I go and check off those things, and I'm okay doing that.
Yeah.
Oh,
But
that's
yeah,
funny.
I'm not out there like chasing it. I can get it done,
Yeah.
but I'm I don't know. That's just not how I
Not your
do it. So
personality.
yeah, no.
Yes.
So yeah, so I need somebody that's going to be out there hustling. So we're looking for an agent.
You know, they do these children's fairs. We have several of them here. You know, they have things like that. And I have wondered about that because we always talk about let's go into the schools. Obviously, that's where the kids are. And we used to have a local musician. His name was John Carter. And John Carter created songs for kids, and he would go to the preschools and sing his songs. Well, John passed away, and then Joe Moy picked it up, and I forget what he was called, something Joe, not Broadway Joe, Sideshow Joe. Whoa, I remembered that. The brain cells connect. You know, when you're from the 60s, on occasion, the cells get together. And and he did it for a while, but having had a preschool, I can think of that level. But the school system goes all the way up, and both of you have found that your books have an appeal beyond the age group that you wrote them for, including I want merch.
Yeah.
I want to wear, you realize she's going to have to change her to "Ta-da, I'm Tonya." She's going to come up with something else, right? You know, she's going to help you get a plan. You're going to help her dress differently. I can see her in the gangster garb. I'm telling you.
No, he's perfect to connect with kids. He's
Yeah,
He's got the cool vibe going.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you
Yep.
go. So what do you think is next for you? Where in the plan?
I've
I'm almost
considered a
afraid to
podcast.
ask. Right?
I've considered a podcast. I just don't know how to go about that. So
I do.
okay.
Come
All
see
right.
me and we'll
Yes.
just make that happen.
Yes.
You figure out a set for you. Ray and I have actually talked about that. The thing is, it's like you don't have to reinvent the wheel, right?
Mm-hmm.
And again, I go back to, it's not like I know how to do this. So and I found out I'm not really a podcast guy. They just told me I'm a TV guy. What I do is more like television, which fits, right? Okay. And there is a difference between the two. But Kurt, who produces this, everybody say, hi, Kurt. He's over there where you can't see him. He likes that. Yeah. And but you have people that, like, he's done TV, he knows how to do this. And then so you have to come up with the content, the timing of it, and then you just go in and shoot it in different ways. But you actually had an idea. You created characters for a whole little TV show, right? And so that is an option to make it become live, right? And so when you think about doing that, there's just a myriad of ways. I think we have to begin to think we're not just trying to do what somebody else already did, but if the material's out there, the vehicle is out there, then let me do what my creative thing is, right? And I don't mind somebody else already having created the vehicle. All the cameras, all that's a lot of work. I don't know how to do that stuff, right? So if you've actually thought about podcasts, so were you thinking you would do the read on them or?
Yes, and then discuss Aristotle's virtues, how they apply to children and adults.
Oh.
Yeah.
So that could hit a bigger crowd.
Yes, yes. Because we all have friends who found their passion in their 40s, 50s, 60s. My best friend went back to school to college when she was 40-something and then got her master's degree. She always wanted to be a social worker, right? So it's never too late to try something new. So I was in my 50s when I started writing books. Wow. And yeah, so you were talking about having passion for something. If you have an underlying passion
You're
for
not
something.
supposed to ask a woman her age, but when you just said that, I was like, when you were in your 50s?
I'm still in my 50s. But it's never too late to pursue your passion.
Well, exactly.
And that's what you said this podcast about, was pursuing your passion. You have this underlying passion. You're extremely talented. And you're bringing this to fruition. It's never too late.
I'm glad you said that because I feel that way. I think if you stop, you crystallize. And there's no point in it because everybody has something. I mean, I never thought I'd be doing this. This was not on my radar, right?
Right.
And yet everybody has said, well, it's like an automatic for you. I don't think about being automatic, right? And sometimes it takes somebody else pointing to it and saying, Tonya, have you ever thought about this? Or, hey, Ray, I'm not pointing at you anymore. I've wasted my
wasting my time on your nonsense.
I'm getting a zip tie and tying you up, bringing you in here. And you're absolutely right.
I think that's what is beautiful about the age that we live in, is that people are realizing that and embracing that. And they're inspired by so many other people just going out there and trying it. And you don't have to try something full time. You can do it part time. It can be a creative hobby as you start, and then you launch from there. But I think that is the beauty of our age, is anything's possible. Anything's within reach.
It's like when you're in high school, everybody's your same age or thereabouts. And then you go to college and it's everybody.
Yes.
It opens this whole world of, oh my gosh, age isn't the issue here, right?
No, it's not.
And I feel like that you guys have captured a passion. It became a vision, and then it became a reality. And so it's a reality. And so now where do you go with that reality?
Right.
So you obviously in books, you'd think about that, but like doing podcasts, it's a whole different ballgame.
Yes, totally.
You can do things there that you can edit and go back in and go, well, I really like that to be like this. And your video of being the adult and then being the little kid, sometimes I have a hard time telling them apart, right? But they're real. That's really clever. I mean, Tonya, you're going to love them when you see him. I mean, it's like this little kid. He's like looking over the table. And it's like you're like, it's a grown man.
I love it.
No kid has a beard like that, right? But you just get sucked right into it, right? It's like he's the kid, right?
Yes.
And I think we can all relate to that. But I appreciate that you guys followed your passion, even though there's more. Right. I think that in and of itself is a lesson that people can grab hold of and say, I mean, maybe there's people out there now that think, well, I can write. I should write something. And it isn't necessarily, for you guys both, it's been children's books.
Or singing, like he sings and has his podcast. And so there's many things you can do. We were at U-Haul waiting in line, and we were talking to this young man in front of us, and he's moved to Chico, and he was here returning the U-Haul. And he said, I was undergrad major in art, and then I decided I need to make a living. So I was going back to pursue an engineering degree in undergrad. It was 2 years. So you're always evolving and planning new things, and you try things and it doesn't always work out, but it doesn't hurt to try something.
I changed my major 3 times in college.
Yeah.
I just, I started out with geriatrics. Now I am one. it's like good.
It's guaranteed for all of us.
I learned how to handle me when I was 26 when I took those down. I remember them.
Right. Yeah. But we're always evolving and changing. And I think to be open to that is very important. Not to ever feel stuck and pigeonholed, because there's so many opportunities for us as we go through life, and our interests change and new things present themselves to us. And to be open to them and have people in your life who support that is very important.
I think the progression is, in a way, natural to go from print to then begin to pursue video type, right? Audio, video, right? Even the books, I thought it was really smart of companies to come out with audio so that you could be driving down the road in your car and you got a book on audio, right? And so you guys, because the initial part is done, the writing, the hard part's really done. All the different ways you could present that are now availing themselves, if you will. And so, Ray, what are you going to do next? Okay, hang on. Tonya, what is Ray going to do next?
He's going to Disneyland. No.
To get more, he's going to start writing movies for Disney.
Yeah.
Hey, Daddy Ray series. That's coming.
I can see it.
I
That
can
could be a
too.
movie. That could be a blockbuster.
That's it.
Yeah.
A lot better than the stuff we're watching now, and some of it.
I can totally see it.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, we're just trying to get them out there at this point. We only really kind of started this a couple months ago, like really sort of working on it. So we're still in the initial stages of this. So I got 25 done, working on another 15 right now. And then, and I 100% agree with you. It's never too late to start. I'm 55, so I'm old.
The difference is she doesn't look like she's in her 50s. I'm just saying. I'm just kind of making comment here.
Easy, Paul. Take a swing at me on your podcast. How dare you, sir?
I'm thrilled because I think it's important. People have a tendency, I worked for 30 years in this company. I'm done. I'm going to go get in an RV and drive around till I die. I mean, there's still things and people are creative. I think a lot of people somewhere along the line, you were talking earlier, I think their creativity, you can't do that, got in the way of the fact they actually can do that.
Yes, that's very true.
And then, there are even the things it's like, well, Ray, you're writing children's books. I mean, you're a dude. We leave that to women. Dudes don't work with kids like that. We stomp on spiders and lift heavy objects.
Dr. Seuss did it.
Yeah, Dr. Seuss did, right? So it is that thing of if that's in there, the media, the different mediums, is how to get it out. So I'm looking forward to you actually, because I've seen the ones where you're reading somebody else's, and you have read me some of yours, and it is very good. It's rhymes. It's definitely rhymes.
Which I ditched because rhyming looks very easy, but it's very challenging to get the meter right. And so I ditched mine. I tried a couple and I wasn't getting in depth enough on my stories. So I applaud you for the rhyming, because I think children, and if with your musical talent and all of that, I think the rhyming is a perfect fit.
Where do you go from the 8 virtues? What do you write now?
Oh, well, I have a sequel in mind. And what my plan would be to focus on each of the virtues. And there would be, so I'm setting up the last book so we can start introducing new super puppies.
Oh, good.
And I would have them work on a virtue that they don't recognize they have, like they're lacking.
Oh.
So someone needs to learn to be brave. Someone needs to learn to be ambitious. Someone needs to learn to be generous. That would be the route I would go next. So you can dive into those and show children, you're all these other things and you think you're not brave. You can be brave. And this is how you work on being brave.
I think you start with learn to be patient.
Patient, yeah.
Because all of us, I once had a bishop, he said, children, if you want to know what the definition of patience is, it's absence of self.
Yes.
And I was like,
that's really
so when you're standing in a grocery line and somebody's fiddling with change, you got to find out if you're patient. And I'm like, oh man, come on, right? It's like patient. After it's about me. No, it's not about you.
Tom Galvin, because he wrote a song for me to go with my books, all about the virtues, and he said, patience is basically learn to chill. Things will happen when they will. So I think he's very patient. He's chilling, and he's letting the time will present itself when he's ready to get out there and show his work to the world. Yeah, and he's very patient. And I was not.
I'm not sure it's patience because I've given him opportunity.
Yeah. No, he's patient. He's waiting for the right time. Well, and he's going to get it. He's going to nail it.
And that really is an individual thing.
It is.
So like I can tell you, hey, but really, it's that okay, I'm ready, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, sometimes we probably have to get pushed into stuff, but generally speaking, we have a sense of I'm ready to do this. I'm
absolutely.
Ready. I'm not talking about comfortable, because I believe you're going to do a lot of things in life where you're not comfortable.
Oh, that's true.
But you still do them. But you have a tendency to know I can do this. I just am afraid to do this. Right. So they have to read your book on not being afraid. Yeah. I want you to give that to him in case that is one of the issues, right?
Yeah. No, I think he's chilling. He's letting his ideas come to fruition and developing it the way he wants to do it. He's not rushing it. If you rush it and present something that you're not proud of or ready to show, it's not your vision. Mm-hmm. That's a huge mistake. I think he's totally taking the right approach in what he's doing. And he's going to be comfortable with it. I think it's going to be fantastic when he does present it. Yeah.
Well, there's a truth in the fact, too, that you will have a lot of material ready when it's time. And it's not like having to play catch up. You really got kind of pushed. It's like, oh, got to write them now.
And I like the
He heard that. I'm not doing that. Right, you know?
And when you're in that creative mode, for me, I had to keep going anyway because that's the next story, and they evolve to this and then to that, and they're learning this, and so it kind of kept going that way. But
Well, there is no real end. I was going to ask you guys that. Is there a writer's block to children's books? I mean, we think about that, people that write novels or whatever, and then you always see that, like, even if it's in a movie, I got writer's block. Well, if it's Hallmark, you go meet somebody, fall in love, and all of a sudden you can write again. But I mean,
As long as you work in a pumpkin patch, you're totally fine. Of course you're Santa. You work in a pumpkin patch. Welcome to the Hallmark movie.
what's going on there?
That doesn't seem right.
exactly.
Yeah, I think writer's block happens to everyone. The beauty of children's books is they can only be 700 words. So often you have a 1,200 word book that you have to scale back on because the pictures tell the story.
Oh,
which
true.
Goes against everything we learn about writing. You want to be descriptive and use adjectives and colors and bring the sensations to life through words. Well, this you're bringing everything to life through pictures. So you have to go through, and it's painful to slash, everything that you work so hard to write. So, but I could see with chapter books and all of that where you could definitely get writer's block. But I think with children's picture books, it's the opposite. Like you have to take out these things that you value, and we're taught all through your life that you had to add in. So that was the most painful process for me. Like, how am I going to get my story out in 700 words when the picture tells the story? It's
So a writer,
very different approach.
A writer's a writer, right?
Mm-hmm.
The creative, right? And then you have the mechanics of it, but it's that creation.
The creation, yes.
So is there a Tonya story lurking in there?
Yes. Yes, there is a Tonya story.
I thought there might be. Is there a Ray story lurking in there?
I don't know. They just show up. I don't know. I just get an idea and start writing. I'm a little different probably than, I don't know.
I think your characters in your books are based on people, like your children, yourself, your spouse.
I
your
don't want to
doggies.
know. I don't want to know which dog is Dan.
Yeah, no.
Okay, let me read the books. I want to make an assessment
Yeah,
on that.
squirrel. Dan's a dog that sees a squirrel.
Oh man,
That's why Dan does so much, because he can handle that. Me, I get started on something, I'm very focused.
yeah.
Driven
Yeah,
to get
I
that done.
think
He's
that-
driven in a million different directions. And you seem to go in a lot of different, you're like this too. So
And I think there's a place for both. And,
Yes.
and it is that balance of doing that, right?
Right.
So any last words? Tell people where they can find the super puppies and
I have a website. It's thesuperpuppies.com. All of my books can be found on there. You can click to Amazon. On Amazon, you can search Zuko and Alley Puff and Tonya Flores, and they will come up on Amazon as well.
with Dan's
Yes.
picture.
And on my website, there's a song that goes with the books. There's free coloring sheets that you can download.
Wow.
You can sign up for emails to get recipes and crafts that go along with the books. So yeah, there's a lot of fun stuff that go along with the books.
You got your work cut out for you. So how do they find Hey Daddy Ray?
Go on YouTube. Hey, Daddy Ray.
Yeah, it's easy. Just go on there.
Everything's Hey, Daddy Ray. Instagram, TikTok, all of it. Email, all of it. Hey, Daddy Ray.
The federales, right? They make you put warnings on stuff. I'm just wondering what warnings on Hey Daddy Ray. People go there and go, okay, this could change your thinking.
This can become addictive.
You might think differently after 3 episodes or 1 episode of Hey Daddy.
We would like to apologize in advance. That's what it says.
The opinions expressed here are not necessarily those
Yes,
of them.
anybody.
If anyone else.
Listen, thanks so much. For you guys being willing to do this, to come on. I'm really hoping that this inspires other writers and it gives them some information, and they do know how to get a hold of you guys and find out what you've done and see if it clicks for them. So this has been another episode of In the Tank with Fish, and I'd like to thank Guppy and Minnow for showing up today. figure out which
Glad to be
one's
here.
which, right? And but I hope, it is my hope in doing these, that you get a chance to see a different side of people maybe that you know, but also that it might inspire you. We are an incredible group of people here in the Yuba Sutter area. There's things going all the time that we don't know about. And I would not have known about Tonya except through Dan mentioned that you wrote books. And then Ray, as long as I had known you, I knew you as a musician, a pastor, never knew he wrote books. And so anyway, want to thank you for watching. This has been In the Tank with Fish. I appreciate you. I hope that you'll send money. No, just kidding. Just kidding.
Lots of money.
Lots of money. They need money. They're trying to produce stuff here. So anyway, again, thanks for watching. It's been In the Tank with Fish.